It was kind of funny because my buddy from UTSA actually got stuck in what we called the closet.
Oh, no.
It was unattached bathroom, probably like half the size of my room. I don't know if I should be saying this, but what happened is that we were supposed to be paying different,
Okay.
but then we didn't. But he was supposed to be paying less.
Was
but
he? Did he ever
didn't
realize that? Was he
No,
pissed?
he knew, and then he said something, and they didn't do anything about it.
They say college is the best 4 years of your life. And where you live and who you live with is a big part of what makes it so great. I'm Laura, your host. I talk with students across the country about their college living experiences, the good, the bad, and the memorable, so you can learn from them and truly make these your best 4. This episode is brought to you by Rambler Austin. Rambler is a student apartment located in West Campus, just blocks away from the University of Texas. Y'all, this place is stunning. The first time that I walked in, I was absolutely blown away. I want you to think Tulum meets Austin meets retro. Also, the amenities are insane. They have a sauna, a resort-style pool, 2-level gym, and my personal favorite, on-site coffee shop called Daydreamer Cafe. The Rambler Matcha, my personal fave. I highly recommend checking out their website, rambleratx.com, for loads of information about anything you need to know about student housing. Plus, you can get your application fee waived by using the code THEBEST4. So again, application fee waived by using the code THEBEST4. THEBESTFOUR. Today, I'm here with Caleb. Hi, Caleb.
Hi, how are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Doing well.
Good. Thank you for being on the pod.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
So for our listeners and for people who don't know you, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Like she said, my name's Caleb. I'm 22 years old. I'm from Dallas. I just graduated from the University of Texas.
Congrats.
And I'm here to talk about myself and my experiences.
Yeah. What was your major?
I was communication and leadership
Awesome.
at the Moody College.
Cool. Great. What made you want to go to UT?
It was UT was one of my first 2 choices.
Yeah.
I guess I like the color orange because it was either here or Syracuse.
Okay.
Up in upstate New York. I think UT just worked out really well because I'm a big family person, so it's close enough to where I can visit on the weekends and whatnot. But UT also has one of, if not the best, I'd say, communication programs in the country. So it was, I think for someone like me, it was kind of a no-brainer that I'd want to end up here.
And you knew that you wanted to study that going in?
For sure.
Yeah, awesome. And you actually got into the CAP program at UT, right? Can you tell me a little bit about what that is?
Yeah, so the CAP program is something that UT offers students who cannot be admitted outright. So what happens is they propose that you spend a year at one of the sister schools.
Right.
I'm not sure if it's all of them, but it's most of them. And basically you just have to attend a different school for a year. I did mine at UT San Antonio.
Okay.
And you just have to maintain a 3.2 GPA average and I believe complete a few core classes and whatnot.
Yeah.
And you're guaranteed admission into the College of Liberal Arts here
Okay.
at UT. The College of Liberal Arts, while it would have been fine, I did want to study communications here at UT. So when transferring from UT San Antonio, you're treated as an external transfer.
Okay.
While I was guaranteed to be in COLA, I had to apply separately in order to be accepted into Moody. And so I managed to maintain a pretty good GPA. So I successfully transferred and I'm here now.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So you went to UTSA.
Yes.
Why did you decide to go there, especially being from the Dallas area?
Yeah.
And not going to UT Arlington?
So one of my good friends from high school also did the program with me, and we kind of decided that we needed to get away just from our little suburb that we've been in for however long. And we decided that San Antonio, out of all the other choices, was, I think, lively enough, but it was also, close enough, far enough. It just felt like the right place to go to.
Yeah.
Where we could live alone and kind of, figure out what that's like and figure out, I don't know, just how to become more of an adult, really.
Yeah. So that was important to you.
Yes,
was
for sure.
to live alone. Did you live on campus at UTSA?
Yes, we lived in like a dorm kind
Okay.
of.
Were you required
area.
to live in a dorm there?
No,
or?
so I guess I'm a little different because it was the COVID year. So
Okay.
all of my classes were online, but we decided that it was just better to go and be there anyways, just to
Yeah.
get the living experience and whatnot.
Absolutely. And what was your experience like at UTSA?
Um, it consisted a lot of, me and my roommate hanging out
Yeah.
inside,
Yeah.
trying to figure out, things to do to keep us occupied.
Mm-hmm.
My grades were the best they had ever been
Right.
when I was there, just because didn't have too much to distract me. But
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we watched a lot of Game of Thrones,
Yeah.
a lot of sports.
Yeah.
Thank God football was on. Just
Yeah. So then you transferred
Mm-hmm.
to UT, and you mentioned that your grades were great.
yes.
So I'm sure it wasn't necessarily hard for you to transfer in, but could you walk me through the process
Yeah.
of how to transfer as a CAP student?
Yeah, so it's pretty. I'd say it's pretty similar to like a high schooler applying to college. It's just,
Yeah.
you have your transcript, your resume if applicable, and then you have to write a few essays and tell them why, why you're coming. I guess why you deserve to be there.
Right.
Just pretty standard. I'd
Yeah.
say.
Okay, so it was an easy experience for you to get in.
I'd say so.
Yeah, so you got in your sophomore year, so transferring to UT. What was your decision process like when picking somewhere to live? Because you moved into Hilltop Apartments.
I did.
Yeah.
So, as I was saying earlier, my roommate and I, we came together, but then we had another friend from high school who did his CAP program at UT Arlington.
Okay.
So us three were like, okay, let's live together. And then we had one more friend who he got into UT just outright. And
Right.
he was there, and he was, he had some options, but he was like, you know what, like it'd be really cool to live with you guys. I was like, okay. So we had 4 people, so we were looking for 4 bed, 4 bath, preferably. And I don't know, we kind of just Googled and then, talked to some other people that we
Yeah.
knew in the area and what they
Because you
had to
mentioned
say.
you had other friends at UT.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
And did you ask them for
yeah.
advice?
I definitely asked around.
Do you remember what
just
they told you?
Well, I think the big thing was kind of, especially as like a sophomore, junior, that West Campus was kind of
Okay.
the place to be
Yeah.
and whatnot. So we just Googled apartment complexes in West Campus,
Okay.
and we were looking for like a nice place, but we didn't want to spend the most money,
Right.
if possible.
So you're trying to be like budget friendly.
budget friendly, but in a
Right.
a cool, like a nicer place. We didn't really feel like living in a dump. I don't
Hey,
know.
I mean, yeah.
Sure. So
Fair.
we narrowed it down to a few options. Obviously, one was Hilltop, and then
What was the other one?
The Standard.
The Standard?
The Standard,
Okay.
yeah.
And those were both in West Campus?
Those were both on West Campus. Yeah.
Okay.
So I was actually a big advocate for the Standard.
Yeah.
It looked really cool. My biggest selling point was that it came with the pool table.
Okay.
And I thought that was really cool. I had some friends who were also living there, so I really thought about it hard. But then after we did some tours, well, I guess what happened is that Hilltop, we were able to do a tour. We liked the layout. The rooms were pretty big. We had
Yeah.
a nice common area, a big living room and a kitchen. But then with the Standard, it was still being constructed.
Okay.
So that was kind of like will it be ready in time? We didn't really get to do a physical tour.
Yeah.
So we weren't sure if we'd like the layout as much. So we kind of chose the safer route and signed the Hilltop.
Yeah, I know a lot of people will just go with the new dev and
Yeah.
like not even need to take a tour.
Right.
So that was something that was really important to y'all, needing to take a tour.
Yeah, we wanted to see where we were going to live. So.
Yeah. I'm curious. So when you Googled apartments in West Campus, do you remember if it was like an ad? Was it like was
Like
Hilltop like sponsored, or did you have to kind of do
We were
some
digging.
digging?
We were digging a lot.
Yeah.
I think one of the more helpful things we did was kind of just Google West Campus, and then we went to maps, and then we would just
Okay.
scroll around and look for complexes in good areas or
Was there
closer
anything
areas.
specifically that you wanted to be by?
So with 4 roommates, and we were all in pretty separate schools, our class buildings were pretty scattered.
Right.
So we kind of wanted, I guess the thing is Hilltop is further from campus than a lot of other
Okay.
apartments, but it was better than us being shifted to one side of West Campus versus the other, where
Yeah.
one of us would have to walk
So you wanted it to be fair.
we want it to be fair. So
Yeah.
it was further for all of us, but it's more central. It was like kind of in the middle of campus. So it was, I think that definitely played a part in it. But other than that, we didn't really have anything that we needed to be near, per se.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You mentioned a couple of times about room size,
Mm-hmm.
which I think is interesting. So would you find that the apartments in West Campus, they have like small rooms? Is it hard to find like a bigger room, or what's that like?
So
Based on your experience, like visiting other friends' apartments.
I think they're all like relatively similar. I think the big difference in a lot of the complexes is like the common room area, like the living room and the kitchen. I think for the most part, the rooms are like fairly similar, or
Okay.
at least comparable. But
Yeah.
I think a lot of complexes offer bigger common areas and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
So there's not like any apartments out there that have just like massive rooms. Like it's pretty much like,
I mean, I'm sure there are a few.
yeah, but you just never.
I mean, they're probably a lot more expensive. So.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair. So you lived at Hilltop your sophomore year when you transferred in. And what was your experience like living there?
So, the way our layout was constructed,
You lived with 3 other people, right?
lived with 3 other people.
Was it a 4x4 or was it
It was a 4x4.
4x4? Okay.
So, you walk in, and then immediately in front of you, I'm going to try and paint a picture.
Yeah.
So you walk
please.
in, kitchen's right in front of you, living room's outstretched to the right, and if you keep walking past the kitchen, there's 3 rooms. And then instead of walking past the kitchen, if you take a right, as soon as you come in, there's one room kind of towards the back right.
Okay.
So I stayed in that room, and then all 3
Would
of
you
my
say that
other-
was the better room?
I thought so.
Yeah.
And then my other 3 roommates were kind of all corralled in this one corner.
Okay.
So I definitely think I had the best room, and I think it was well deserved because I feel like I did the most work when actually searching for the complex.
Okay.
And then I think we drew sticks anyways, just to be fair.
Yeah.
And then
You didn't rig it or anything?
I didn't rig it.
Yeah.
I won. So I chose that room. It was isolated from them, but it was pretty big in comparison to theirs. Our room sizes were totally not
Not the
equal.
same.
Not
Yeah.
equal. Definitely not equal. It was kind of funny because my buddy from UTSA, he actually got stuck in what we called the closet.
Oh, no.
It was unattached bathroom, and it was
Okay.
like probably like half the size of my room. It was pretty funny.
Wow.
Yeah. And then the other 2, their rooms are a little smaller than mine, but pretty similar.
Did you have to pay more because you had a larger room?
So I don't know if I should be saying this, but what happened is that we were supposed to be paying different,
Okay.
but then we didn't. Like they just in our contract, they just put us down as the same. So he was supposed to be paying less.
Was
But
he? Did he ever
didn't.
realize that? Was
No,
he
he
pissed?
knew, and then he said something, and they didn't do anything about it.
Well, that's unfortunate.
Yeah,
Did you guys have
Yeah.
individual leases?
we did.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
pretty standard.
Mm-hmm.
And like just at like UT in general.
Yeah,
You would say
no.
for like student housing.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd say at least in my experience.
And could you just like, for our listeners,
Mm-hmm.
walk us through what an individual lease is? Like,
I'm pretty sure in individual leases, you're living with other people, but
Yeah.
you independently sign and have your own
right.
cosigner.
So
and
if somebody like does not pay their rent,
Right, it
does
doesn't
not
affect
affect
the
you.
rest. Yeah.
Yeah. And if somebody needs to, move out
Sure.
and sublease their apartment,
Yeah, it won't mess
does not
with-
affect you. So, you had a great room.
I did have a good room.
And you went from living with one person at UTSA
Yes.
to 4.
Yes.
What was that like?
It was definitely different.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously new. I just lived with my family and my roommate before.
Do you have
but
siblings?
I did.
Okay.
Or do. Sorry, I do have siblings. I have 2 younger siblings.
Yeah.
I'm the eldest of 3.
Cool.
So I guess I kind of knew what it was like to live with other people.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I have a house of 5, but
Yeah.
Living with 3 other roommates was definitely livelier.
Right.
There's, I walk out of my room and instead of just seeing maybe one person, there's 1 or 2 people out there. Someone's cooking, someone's watching a TV show, someone's doing homework on the counter. So it's a more lively environment. It was a
Right.
lot warmer too. I enjoy interacting with people, especially when they're my really close friends.
Yeah.
So it was good. It was
So
great.
you enjoyed it.
I definitely enjoyed
Yeah.
it. We had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
We had a lot of fun.
So you talked about wanting to live at the Standard, but you guys chose Hilltop. And the Standard was a new dev. So
Yes.
how old was like Hilltop at the time that you guys moved in? Like
Don't quote me, but it's a newer
Newer
complex.
building,
It's
yeah.
within the last 5-10 years, I'd say. Like when we moved in, it was like when we toured the place, we were like, oh, everything's pretty up to date. Like everything looks pretty new and stuff. Like hasn't been occupied by many people.
Right.
So
It's interesting you say that because we've had a couple of other people on the podcast talking about how they like to live in new devs. And I do feel like that is a big culture.
For sure.
Maybe a little bit more with Greek life,
Yeah.
moving from new dev to new dev. And a couple of times I've heard that they like to live there because they're the first people to use
The
like the
facilities.
pool or
Oh.
the tub or like,
Yeah.
the amenities. But obviously, like you lived in a building that had already been lived in. So
Right.
did you think about that at all?
I'm gonna
Did
be
you
honest.
care?
From what I could tell, they send people to do a deep clean after everyone moves out. So I didn't really think about it too much. They did have a pool there that we never used.
Why didn't you use the pool?
Honestly, no particular reason. I just
Oh, okay.
we didn't. It wasn't like a stay
was
away
waiting
from
for
the
some
pool.
tea,
No, it wasn't like a stay
another
away
tea.
from the pool type of thing. It just
Yeah.
I don't know. We were all just doing stuff and just never ended up using it.
So you liked living at Hilltop. What was the culture like at Hilltop?
One thing that was really interesting that we had no idea until we moved in is that all the UT basketball players live at Hilltop.
Okay.
Or pretty much
Would
all
you
of
still
them.
say that that's still true now?
I'm pretty sure. I think we saw a reel or something the other day, and they were like, they're like, "Welcome to UT," like all the basketball players, and they were like right outside Hilltop, and we're like,
Huh.
"Oh, cool."
Okay.
So it was kind of cool. Like we just walk down the lobby, and we'd see the starting point guard and the starting power forward, and be like, "Oh, that's they're just right there." Aside from just having a lot of basketball players around, we were sophomores and freshly transferred, so we were looking to, kind of party and
Yeah, you
make
mentioned
friends.
when we talked before that you were a little bit nervous about being a bit behind
Yeah.
socially.
Right.
Can you talk about
'cause,
that?
well, I guess everyone sort of lost a year from COVID, but I felt like my roommate and I, we were especially behind because, we're transferring after a full year of people getting to know each other and stuff. So we kind of made it a point to meet a lot of people,
Okay.
and as many people as we could.
And how'd you guys do that?
We just being really friendly, being outgoing, and I guess the hallway, like hanging out with our neighbors and stuff, talking to people in classes, and I don't know, just meeting friends of friends and
Right.
just trying to expand our social networks and whatnot. So we ended up hosting a lot of people over all the time at Hilltop. I'd say,
Yeah.
7 days a week, we'd probably have someone over at least 5 days of the week. Just, I'd walk in coming back from class, and there'd be someone. I'd be like, "Oh, hey, what's up?" So it was definitely a good time. Just having new faces around a
Yeah.
lot, meeting people, and just.
It was that kind of just like the general vibe of Hilltop is,
I think that was probably more of our vibe.
your vibe. Yeah. So
Yeah.
Hilltop was maybe a little less.
I think Hilltop's probably a
social.
little. It's not boring complex, if that makes sense, but I wouldn't say it's super loud all the time. Just, I think on a given night, someone could be having a party, and then we'd just walk in.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say it's a loud complex.
Okay.
Yeah.
This episode is brought to you by Daydreamer Cafe, every college student's favorite coffee shop. Daydreamer offers amazing handcrafted coffee, espresso, and my personal favorite, matcha, in a beautifully designed space. With 2 locations on West Campus, Daydreamer is the perfect spot for UT students to grab coffee or study with friends. Download the Daydreamer app and use our promo code BEST410 for 10% off your first mobile order. That's BESTFOUR10. So Hilltop maybe had a little bit more of a chill vibe. So what are the apartments that maybe have a reputation for being a little bit more of
A
party
party
hub?
area? Sure. I think a place like the Standard, I think a lot of complexes with a lot of units like the Standard, Waterloo, Villas on Rio, places like that where there's just a lot of floors and a lot of units. I think just naturally there's going to be, more reason for people to meet up at these
Right.
complexes and, have a pregame, have a party, whatever. So, yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So you lived at Hilltop your sophomore year, and then your junior year, you decided to move to Quarters Cameron.
Yes.
So why did you decide to move instead of Renew?
Right. So we lost 2 roommates.
Okay.
So now it was just back to me and one other person.
Was that your original roommate from UTSA?
It was not.
Okay.
It was this one is the guy who had gotten accepted into UT.
Okay.
So this is his now 3rd year living UT and my 2nd. One of the guys went and lived at the Sigma Chi house.
Okay.
And the other one went and lived with some other friends we made in high school.
Yeah.
And so it was just me and one other person. So we were like, we got to find, we have to find a new place because we can't renew at Hilltop. Don't want to live at 2 randoms. So we were just looking, and
Why not do a two by two at Hilltop?
the 2 of us that were still going to live together, where our buildings were, like for classes and stuff, we wanted to be closer because Hilltop was kind of a hike.
Okay.
So we decided to just move closer. We did some Googling and stuff, and more Google. And Quarters Cameron was.
That's so interesting that you're Googling. I feel like at that point, so this was 2022. So I'm curious, if you were on Instagram, were you seeing any ads for student housing complexes or anything on TikTok or anything?
I'm sure I was.
Okay. But you
can't
were like, I'm just going to Google.
tell you for sure. Yeah, I was just like, because I did not care too much about living in like new devs and whatnot. I just wanted to live like in a comfortable place and like close to my buildings. Like my walk to a class was like 5 minutes, so it was just really nice for me.
Yeah.
To live there.
I just think that's so interesting. I just feel like in this day and age, I feel like we're getting served so many ads all the time.
Yeah.
Like one would think that maybe you would have found where you lived through an ad versus you actually having to go out and search for it.
Yeah.
So that's interesting.
It also kind of worked out because my girlfriend's Zeta, and my Zlam, and my friend was Sig Chi. So those 2 houses are like right next to each other.
Okay.
And my complex is like 1 street over from that.
So that was important.
So
So you
it
kind of
was-
did the same Google Maps strategy again. Okay.
So, and it also worked out, like my class buildings are right there. So it was just, even if it wasn't, I guess, the ideal complex for us to sign at, just like geographically, it lined up really well. So we were like, why not?
So location was important for
Location was very important because, I mean, who wants to walk 30 minutes to class every day?
you. Nope.
Don't really feel like doing that every day. So we just went to the website and we looked at the floor plans and stuff. Like I said, there's only 2 of us, but we both valued space, having a lot of space. So what we did actually is that we signed up to lease I guess it's technically a 2x2, but it's double occupancy units. So it's meant for 4 people.
Okay.
But it's like smaller room for people. Like 2 people would share a room, and then 2 people would share the other room, and they'd each split a bathroom.
So you ended up getting like a bigger room.
Ended up getting a bigger room.
Got it.
Get 2 like full-size beds, push them together, twin-size beds, push them together, make a big bed. We just had a lot of
Do
space.
people do that?
I
Or were you guys just
I don't
like,
know. I
so
think
innovative?
Some people. Well, no, I'm sure people have done it before.
Yeah.
But it just sounded like a good idea to us, and it was only an extra like, 100 something a month
Right.
maybe. So we were like, why not? Because I mean, yeah, it just
So it was meant
seemed
to
like
be
a good
like a
deal.
4x2
Yes.
double.
Yeah.
No, 2x2
Two by
double.
two by two double. I don't know what the correct
Yeah.
terminology is, but it was meant for 4 people,
Yeah.
and we made it 2 people. So we had a lot of space, big living area.
Yeah.
I mean, it was pretty much just double, almost.
I mean, that's a good hack.
Double. Yeah.
If you want space.
If you have the money for it and you want extra space, and
Yeah.
I'd recommend it. I mean, I'd recommend
Cool.
it for sure.
So moving to Quarters, location big, space good.
Yes.
What was your experience like living there?
Quarters, it's good. I mean, it's very quiet for sure. Like not a big.
Even more quiet than Hilltop.
Even quieter than Hilltop. Like not a very big party complex.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting because you walk in, and the hallways outside of all the units, it kind of feels like a prison. That makes sense.
love.
Very, very. I don't know. The colors they chose were not very good.
Yeah.
Not a lot of things going on in the hallways. But as soon as you walk in the unit, it's like big windows, like big spaces. I think the layouts themselves are like logical and
Right.
like well thought out. So very polarizing. But it's a good place to live.
Yeah.
I had
What did you
had a
like
good
about
time.
it? So we know that you didn't like the design,
Did not like the
And the
hallway designs.
color choices.
But the color choices.
What did you like about it?
I mean, it was just, there's nothing wrong with it, if that makes sense. It was just
Yeah.
kind of like sturdy and steady. Like, washer unit was fine. Microwave was fine.
Did you always have washer dryer and unit
Yes.
everywhere you lived?
Yes.
All 4 years?
Yes.
Even in the dorm?
Not in the
At
dorm,
UTSA.
actually.
Okay.
But, I mean, it was like a 2-minute walk, so it was
Yeah.
fine. Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah. It was very nice.
Cool. So I wanted to ask you about, you studied abroad your junior year.
I did. So, spring semester, I studied abroad in Barcelona, Spain. So I was only at this this unit for 1 semester.
Okay. And what was the process like finding somebody to sublease? Yeah.
So, just hearing from like people in forums, I think one of the best ways to find someone is like Facebook groups. So I put out like a picture of the unit, like a small description about like all the important stuff, and I got like so many replies like pretty quickly because I was kind of in a time crunch.
Right.
Like I kind of procrastinated.
And this
probably
was
a little
for your spring semester.
for my spring semester.
Why do you think so many people were looking for a place to live?
Multiple reasons. Other maybe study abroad students or something like that.
Okay.
Exchange students.
Yeah.
The guy who I ultimately ended up choosing, he wanted to live in Austin before he decided if he wanted to like stay in Austin.
So he wasn't even a UT student?
He was not. He was older. I can't remember exactly how old he was.
Interesting.
But he
How did
graduated.
your roommate feel about that?
He is very like nonchalant. He's like, honestly, if he doesn't get in my way, like whatever.
Okay.
Like, I mean,
Did you like interview him?
yeah. I texted him a lot. Just got the basic information. Did a couple phone calls. I didn't like screen him or anything.
Yeah.
But I did the best that I could to make sure he was like a real person.
Why
not
him
a
out of
bot.
like everybody that?
Because I don't know. He just seemed like he had the best reason, I guess.
Okay.
And he just seemed like legit.
Yeah.
Because you have to be wary of bots and stuff.
Okay, is
Yeah.
that a issue?
There's a lot of Facebook bots and stuff like that. So,
Okay.
Because I'm like, are these people real people? Or are they, or a lot of people would message me and then I'd message them back and they would never respond.
They would never respond.
Right. So he was very like quickly responding and just timely and adamant about what he wanted. And I was like, okay, like, yeah, let's do this.
Did you post anywhere else, or are there any other places that you would recommend somebody post?
They have websites and stuff like that. Just I'm not even. I think UT might even have their own website. But I found the most success on like Facebook.
Facebook.
So
That's interesting because I feel like Gen Z isn't really on Facebook.
Yeah, I use Facebook for like marketplace and stuff like
Okay.
that. But I don't ever post on.
Marketplace and groups.
Yeah. stuff
Okay.
like that.
So you found somebody to sublease while you
I
were
did.
studying abroad.
Mhm.
What was the process like with your apartment to, did you transfer the lease over, or how did that work?
Uh, it was actually really simple because
Did you not tell them?
did not tell them. I just paid, and he would pay me.
Okay.
So because I was just like, I don't want to deal with this.
Yeah.
Because in order to like exchange the lease, it was just like so
What
much
would
work.
you have done? Like, would you have lost the lease?
So the thing is, I had to move out for 5 months, but then
Yeah.
I would move back for the summer. So
Right.
for like
So if you
May,
would have
June,
transferred the
July.
lease to him, you would have not been able to move.
Exactly.
Not been able to move
It
back
would
in.
have been under his name for the last 3 months, and I was like, it's just a hassle. So kind of just,
Do people
Did
do that
that.
a lot, like under the table?
I have no idea, to be honest. Like
Yeah.
I'm sure people do it, but I was just like, I think the benefits outweigh the cons, so
Yeah.
I just did it.
Yeah. And then when you studied abroad in Barcelona.
Mm-hmm.
Little quick, maybe like blurb for anyone interested in studying abroad at UT.
Yeah.
What the process is like.
If you're not sure, like definitely look into it. If you are sure, definitely do it. I would recommend it to literally anybody
Yeah.
who like has the means to do it. If not, they offer a lot of scholarships and stuff. I would just don't take your time. Like don't procrastinate. Like you should look and really figure out what works for you and your program and your major and stuff. I would not have traded my time there for literally anything in the
Yeah.
world. Probably the best like 4 or 5, 6 months of my life. Yeah, it was just the best. So if you can do it, like please do it.
And you apply through UT, or how does
Yes.
that? Okay.
Yeah, the UT.
Okay.
They have a lot of like counselors and support. For that.
Awesome. So you went to Barcelona.
Yep.
You had a random man take over your
Had a random
your
man take over-
sublease
Yep.
under the table. And then you came back for the summer.
Yes.
And then your senior year, you stayed
My
at
senior
Quarters
year, I
Cameron.
stayed at Quarters, but then we added the Sigma Chi guy back.
He came back.
He came back. Though.
So you did an internal transfer at Quarters, right?
Yes, we did. We moved to a 3x3 double occupancy unit.
Ooh.
So I'm still living at this 3x3.
Yeah.
So we went double occupancy again because we were like, it's only an extra like $100 whatever dollars a month. Our other guy was like, yeah, I'm down because he liked having space as
More
well.
space, yeah.
Yep, and it's worked out great. It's very spacious.
Did you have to go back home for the 2 weeks, even though you were doing like an internal transfer?
Yes, but this
Okay.
time we had more stuff.
Yeah.
I brought more stuff with me because I had more room in my room. So we just rented like a U-Haul little unit. and
Because you
just-
guys all lived in Grapevine.
we're all from
Grapevine
down-
together.
yeah.
Okay, that's
so
nice.
we threw all our stuff in the U-Haul
Yeah.
for like a week and a half. I think we got early move-in because we had previously lived
Oh, that's nice.
at Quarters.
Yeah.
So they let us move in like a week and a half later. We just went to the couple trips to the U-Haul back and forth. Not a big deal.
Yeah. And you're still there now.
Still there now.
Cool.
Got like a month and a week left on the lease or so.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you're going to move out. So looking back,
Yep.
is there anything that you would have done differently?
I feel like I haven't reflected too much on my living choices and stuff, but I think after talking through it all here with you, I would not. I think I made very good choices. Yeah, I don't look back and regret anything about like how we lived or where we lived.
Yeah. Is there anything you wish you knew,
Before.
like going in, maybe when you were transferring in?
I think we got pretty, not lucky. We got pretty lucky knowing a lot of people that lived in UT or who had gone to UT before. So I had a good, I guess, like support system and people to talk to about it.
Yeah.
So I think they told me pretty much everything I needed to know. I'm trying to think.
The biggest thing was West Campus is
Yeah,
the
I
place
think-
to live.
Yeah, for.
Do you know anybody that did not live in West Campus?
Honestly, I probably do. I just can't think of them.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a few. But I think for the most part, like, because I'm friends with, people who are lively and outgoing and want to have a good time. I think most lived in West Campus.
Yeah.
And it's just close to campus too, and like everyone's there.
Mm-hmm.
It's just kind of easier if you can
Yeah.
find somewhere there.
So aside from living in West Campus,
Mhm.
what is one piece of advice that you would give to an incoming UT student in terms of housing?
I will say that you can be good friends, great friends, or even best friends with someone, and not live well with them.
Mhm.
So I would just keep that in mind. I think communication is like everyone. It's always communication is key,
Mm-hmm.
but it really is when you're living with someone because if you don't tell them, they're not going to change it, and if they
Yeah.
keep doing it, they're going to get into the habit of it, and it's just
Mm-hmm.
it's gonna snowball and really kind of ruin your living experience.
Yeah.
So if you have issues, like just bring it up. Don't be afraid. Don't be messy if you can.
Yeah.
Be the person that you would want to live with. Like you don't want to. No one wants to live with a bad roommate. So
Yeah.
Be a good roommate.
I have a question that I just thought of.
Okay.
So I know with new devs,
Mhm.
people will sign very early
Okay.
because I think that there's a lot of like urgency
Yeah.
and wanting to get into these new devs. When were you signing your leases?
So I don't know if this is true like everywhere, but like at UT, you sign pretty early.
Okay, so you
Like,
still signed pretty early even though
I'm
you weren't going
I'm
into-
probably signing around November.
I would say that's late.
Well,
Later.
later, yeah, that's true. I mean, because the new devs, people are like, oh, they're gonna run out of units.
Yeah.
But yeah, October, November.
October, November.
I start looking like September, but
Okay.
then a lot of like when we were at quarters, there was less urgency, I guess, because we were like, we're probably not gonna move like to a different apartment complex.
Yeah.
So
Were
there
they kind of
was-
like pushing like renewal
like
on you
yeah,
guys?
and then we were like, like might as well
Yeah.
I don't think anything drastic is gonna happen in the
Mm-hmm.
next like however many months to where we're like, oh, we need to go somewhere else. So that one was pretty like, we'll sign whenever, like it's
Right.
not a big deal.
But you would say probably past November, that's like you're kind of cutting it a bit close.
Yes, I think so. Like
Okay.
after November, yeah.
And would you say
Might be in
for like
trouble.
new devs, I know you were like, I don't know if it's true or not, but
Mhm.
like signing earlier probably for new devs since people really want to,
For sure.
yeah.
Yeah. If you want to live in a good unit in a new dev, then you have to sign pretty early.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's kind of like a leap of faith or something. You just kind of got to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. So what would be a piece of advice just in general for someone coming into UT?
My piece of advice for someone coming to UT is learning how to budget your time. The quicker you can do that, I think the quicker you can learn how to manage your time, the quicker you can like live life more fully.
What do you
to the
mean by
fullest.
that?
Well, it's just I think I don't have any regrets about where I lived, but I do have regrets about how I spent my time.
Mm-hmm.
I think I definitely wasted probably a lot of hours just sitting on my phone and stuff.
Okay.
So I would definitely budget my time differently if I
Would
could
you-
go back.
Want to be a little bit more present maybe?
Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Spend more time like texting that friend that you always say you'll text, or
Yeah.
meeting up with whoever. Just doing something proactive. Like, I'm sure there's a lot of hours in my life where I probably didn't do anything or learn anything. So yeah, just learn how to manage your time better because you only have so much of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You have 4 years.
You have 4 years.
Sometimes maybe
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 a fifth.
five.
Maybe 4.5.
maybe
even,
four and a
yeah.
half.
Yeah.
So would you say that college was the best 4 years of your life?
So far, yeah, for sure. I think if you like quantify all the things that I've done in college, it stacks up very well to compared to the other 18 years before. So yeah, for sure. I mean, it's just so different and new from anything that I experienced beforehand. But yeah, definitely the most fun time of my life. Definitely learned the most, and definitely lived the most. So yeah.
Yeah. And what are you looking to do next?
What's
next?
What's next? Find a job, work that job,
What are you wanting to do?
anything.
Okay.
Anything within the realm of, marketing, communications,
Cool,
PR.
fun.
Yeah. Just lock down a job, make a bunch of money, be happy.
Yep.
Yeah, stuff
That's
like that.
it. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being on today. I
yeah.
really appreciate you
No,
coming
thank
on
you,
and
yeah.
telling your stories.
Of course.
And we will see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening, y'all. If you like this episode, please subscribe, rate, and review. It helps us out a lot. For more info and to learn about our partners, visit thebest4pod.com. Make sure to follow us on TikTok and Instagram at thebest4pod. We'll see you next time.